France, Rome, Egypt. Travel the world with a little grape leaf and her trusted companion, the wind. This is a life-changing journey you don't want to miss. Reading 3 distinct chapters. Today, join me, SageWaters, as I begin Chapter 1 of Distant Lands. My destiny is to experience a life of adventure, a little leaf called out to the wind as he passed by that morning. These old, weathered leaves around me just want to hang around, but I was born to explore. Wind stopped and listened. Some of the leaves, closer to the light, chatter about bathing in the sunshine. The leaf continued. I ache to see sunlight, but I am trapped underneath this grapevine. Will you set me free from my vine? The leaf asked. Distant lands are just waiting out there beyond this French vineyard. Hearing these pleading cries, the voice of the wind blew about the little leaf's 5 corners. You are young and passionate, the wisp of wind whispered. Yes, I will help you realize your dreams. What is your name? Leafa, but you can call me Leaf for short. My full name is Wendell, but you can call me Wind. Leaf's eager smile made Wind chuckle. Where shall we fly? He asked. Let's go to a place where the mountains touch the clouds, Leaf exclaimed. Wind pondered Leaf's request, and then he said, There is an ancient civilization nestled below a towering mountain range. It is one of my favorite places in the world. Let me lift your edges, and I will carry you there. With an unexpected gust, Wind shook Leaf from the vine, and he tossed her into the air. High above everything, Leaf enjoyed a bird's eye view of the land below. Truly amazing, Leaf said. This vineyard is larger than I realized. Leaf's eyes widened as she took in the awesome view. Look at it all, she exclaimed. Look, the vines stretch down that hill and up beyond the horizon. As Leaf gazed at the sight, the morning sun slowly began to rise. That is the sun, Wind said. This is the first sunrise I have ever seen, Leaf said as she stared in awe. Wind turned to Leaf, hesitated for a moment, and then he asked, Can you describe how sunshine feels? Nothing else compares, Leaf said. Sunlight is warm. It makes me feel awake and alive. I cannot feel the warmth of the sun, Wind said. Really? What do you mean? Leaf asked, puzzled. You're just teasing me, right? You are the wind. You of all things should be able to feel air, whether hot or cool. Well, the sun's warmth surrounds me, yet no matter how still I am, I cannot grasp it. It just flows right through my fingers, Wind explained. I've spent time in Death Valley, California, where the temperatures have reached over 130 degrees. Most recently, I was in the outback of Australia kicking up a little dust. It can get hot down under. Even though I know that heat is present, I am still unable to feel it. Well, let me see. How do I describe it? Leaf thought for a moment. Being touched by the sun. It feels like I'm being kissed by thousands of cicadas all at once. Some of the older leaves from my grapevine told me that cicadas are related to locusts. However, cicadas don't eat leaves, thankfully, Leaf said as she giggled. Do cicadas emit heat? Wind asked curiously. Yep. Under the grapevine, I felt their delightful warmth when they danced on my surface, Leaf explained. I have danced with cicadas many times, completely unaware that they radiate heat. Wind marveled. The two began their journey as Wind schooled Leaf on the countryside with its many landmarks. You wish to go to a place where the mountaintops touch the clouds. On our way there, we will journey through several other countries. Look, Leaf, Wind said as he pointed. We are hovering over Italy. Humans compare the shape of this country to a boot. See, it really does look like a long boot. Amazed by the shape of the land, Leaf clearly saw a heel and a toe which stuck out. While in Italy, I must take you to Rome, Wind stated with certainty. The architecture, the Colosseums, and the weather-beaten Roman statues. Wind saw the excitement on Leaf's face and knew he didn't need to explain any further. Instead, he increased their speed. When the two reached Rome, Wind shared some history with Leaf. These Roman ruins show the remarkable abilities of humans and date back in time nearly 2,000 years, Wind exclaimed. But, Wind, all that surrounds us are really old buildings that are mostly piles of rubble, Leaf noted. True, and yet, Wind looked at Leaf with a knowing smile. Throughout the ages, it is incredible that these skeletal structures still remain. Curious, Leaf said as she stared at the sight. Wind found Leaf's hunger for knowledge delightful as he blew her through several cities around Rome. Finally, Wind said, Egypt is our next stop, my friend. This country offers a sight that looks most impressive from above. Leaf paused for a moment, and then she shared her thoughts. Wind, I didn't know that any of these interesting places existed. Leaf stared down at the land, which passed underneath her. To travel has been my lifelong dream. Italy is the only country we have seen so far, and the land, it shares so much history. At that moment, the planet never seemed bigger to Leaf, or more mysterious. The world offers more than I could have imagined. Leaf was awestruck. You have been coiled under a grapevine your whole life, Wind began. But now I will teach you about the world. Leaf lifted her head, and as she did, she found herself nose to nose with a towering female statue. Ah! What is that? Leaf yelped. It is the face of a sphinx, Wind said. And look at this sight, Leaf. We have a perfect aerial view of several Egyptian pyramids. Leaf took a moment to calm her racing heart, and then asked, Are there other countries that have structures shaped like those pyramids? Like triangles? No, very few actually. These pyramids have survived the elements for centuries, Wind marveled. I have been known to kick up quite a sandstorm here in Egypt, and let me tell you, pyramids continue to remain a formidable force. Leaf stared at Wind, unable to grasp his words. Oh, forgive me, little Leaf. I tend to use big words. Formidable, or in other words, they are difficult to wear down, Wind explained, and Leaf nodded her head. Well, this is quite a sight, Leaf exclaimed. Those square stones used to make the pyramids are huge. Whoa! That's a strange-looking animal. Leaf whipped her head around to get a better look. That is a camel, Wind stated. Well, that camel doesn't look very healthy. It has a huge hump on its back, Leaf said. You're funny, Wind said as he chuckled to himself. The hump is where the camel stores food and water. Camels can go days without drinking water, which is why many people in Egypt use them to travel across the desert sand through the intense heat. An oasis can be a hard thing to find. Wind could sense Leaf's anticipation, and he asked, "Would you like to venture further into Egypt, or do you wish to fly to the land where the mountains touch the clouds?" When Wind mentioned the destination, Leaf's smile widened as she squealed with excitement. "To the mountains!" Without words, Wind turned round and round, leaving Egypt in a cloud of sand. Wind's speed was swift as he blew through many countries without stopping. "Brrr, it's getting cold," Leaf said, and quivered with a shiver. "I know," Wind said. "A bone-gripping chill is to be expected traveling through the heights of a mountain range. But if you remember to roll your corners in toward your belly, you will stay warmer." Above them towered a grand mountain. Leaf cried out to Wind, "Don't hit that ledge!" Wind chuckled with a hearty belly laugh, and then he said, "I have done this too many times to count, little Leaf. I am as ancient as the ocean tides, and as old as the stars above. There is not one thing on this earth that I do not know something about. I touch every cricket, every tree, even every blade of grass. When packs of wolves stir in the middle of the night, I am awake as they howl restlessly at the crescent moon. As people whisper thoughts by an open window, I am there. Skyward, I offer up their prayers, along with their hopes and their dreams." Join me, SageWaters, next time for Chapter 2 of my story, Distant Lands.